No shortage of theatrics for the Bucs here today at Raymond James Stadium, taking on the Cowboys. Although if you were late to the game, you lucked out because things really didn't heat up until about the 5-minute mark in the fourth quarter. That was when Jameis Winston was picked off by Jeff Heath, his second interception of the game. They had trouble moving the ball downfield all game long, so you really felt like the game was over at that point. But think again. The defense made a very key stop on third down there, thanks to Sterling Moore, got the ball back and had prime field position thanks to a short punt. So they began that drive at the 45-yard line, marched downfield, and then Jameis Winston attempted to dive into the end zone. Another week of that, he flipped into the end zone. Unfortunately, the ball came loose though. But it still wasn't over because officials determined that there was a holding call there. So that gave them new life, a whole new set of downs, and on the very next play, Winston ran it in for a 1-yard touchdown. And that gave the Bucs a 10-6 lead, the first time all game that they had led. But it still wasn't over because Dallas got the ball back with less than a minute to go. And that was when Bradley McDougald had an interception in the end zone on a Matt Castle Hail Mary pass attempt. The final score, 10-6, so that score would stand. And it was a very fitting way for Brad to finish the game. He had underwent the NFL's concussion testing protocol throughout the week. They weren't sure if he was going to play. He ended up playing today, and he ended up saving the day. Oh yes, and it's also his 25th birthday.
I mean, honestly, at the time, you're not thinking about it's your birthday. You think about getting the job done. You got a responsibility to the defense and to the team. It feels much better now the game's over with, knowing it's my birthday.
I mean, we've been in that situation too many times this year, man. This time, we needed one guy to make a play, and Bradley made the play, man. It's funny because before we went out on the field, I told him he was going to be the guy who would win the game. And just so happened that happened. So, very, very proud of him. He was in great position and made a play on the football.
When Jameis was picked off at that 9-yard line there, did you guys believe that you'd be able to have the ball back? I mean, what went through your mind through that?
I went to the sideline and told Jameis, don't worry about it. Our defense is going to stop him. We're going to go score and win. And we spoke into existence. It doesn't always happen like that, but this time it did. So, I'm very happy that happened.
It does. I want to say it's contagious. It's a contagious feeling that this guy is willing to lay out, sacrifice his body, and for the team, for the win. And if you see a leader doing that, it'll trickle down to everybody else. So that's what we need.
And yardage was so hard to come by today because you had two really, really tough defensive teams going at it. I mean, what went through your mind as the clock was winding down and you guys are running essentially the 2 minute?
Just patience. Eventually, we're going to come up on top and, we're going to make the play, and that's what we did.
I asked a few of the guys in the locker room what went through your minds when Winston threw that interception. Did they think the game was over then? And Gerald McCoy said, no, it's not, because we know that the game is all 3 phases. We've got to go back out there and do our job. And they also felt like, you know what? We're going to be able to do this. We've got a chance to do this. So that just goes to show you the faith that they have in their quarterback and in their offense. Even though they had really struggled throughout the day moving the ball downfield, they're still feeling the effects of not having key players like Vincent Jackson and also not having Louis Murphy or Austin Seferian-Jenkins. So credit goes to them. But most of the credit today, I shouldn't say most, game ball today, because to me this was the best performance they've had all season long. It goes to the defense because this was a tough game to be in, and it's a low-scoring game. Definitely reminds me of the old Buck ball days, back when it was those types of low-scoring games with Tony Dungy at the helm, those NFC Central rivalries. So credit goes to the defense because they kept this team in the game all day long. Reporting from Raymond James Stadium with Sports Talk Florida, I'm Jenna Lane.